at the end of the day, no one's going to bet more on you than you.
If you're going to roll the dice, roll the dice on yourself.
And you can do way more than we all give ourselves credit for.
How did you feel making that transition?
You do ask yourself, can I be successful? Like
Right.
everybody has some level of self-doubt. There's always someone chirping in your ear, hey, I can do more, and there's someone else chirping in your ear, oh, what if you fail? What if it doesn't go like you planned? So you can do way more than what you're educated for or what you started out in life doing. You define yourself. That's it. Don't let anyone else define you.
Take your shift.
Welcome back to Talk Real Shift. I'm your host, Devin Froschizer. On today's episode, I have the absolute pleasure of speaking with Joe Fadool, CEO of BorgWarner, as he shares some Talk Real Shift stories, including failing at his first P&L assignment. But that failure, that didn't stop Joe, because as he puts it, there's a reason why your rearview mirror is smaller than your windshield. You're going to want to stay tuned for this episode of Talk Real Shift. Joe, welcome to Talk Real Shift.
Devin, great to be here with you.
You know, I have been gushing to my friends and family that I get to have and sit across the table and hear the story of a local celebrity. Because if you know automotive, you know BorgWarner. You guys are one of the top U.S. suppliers in the automotive industry. And I can't tell you enough how much it means to me that you're taking the time to talk with me today.
Well, it's absolutely a pleasure to be here. You know, when we connected at the recent AWA gala, and you asked me, it was hard to not say yes. So I know this is a new podcast for you. You guys are trying to get off the ground, and I love the format. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here.
Thank you. I want to start us off a little bit different. How do you feel about a one-question round of trivia? Are you game?
I'm game.
Okay.
I have to warn you, though. My family will tell you I am the worst at trivia games. So I'm always the last one to get drafted on a team.
Okay, so you're not going to be on Family Feud or anything like that anytime soon?
Had I been, I probably wouldn't be in the career I'm in now. But
Fair
go
enough.
ahead.
Okay, so as you know, Livonia and Seneca are both TeamSense customers. And with Livonia being so close, I have the absolute pleasure of being able to visit them quite frequently. And recently, our TeamSense team visited, half our team went there and visited and did a plant tour. And part of that plant tour is they gave us the history of the facility, and then it was trivia time, and you could win prizes. And I got one of the questions right, and so I'm curious if you can get that same question right. And for our listeners, if they want to play along, some background I think is important to note. The Livonia BorgWarner facility is a powder metal forming powertrain component facility, right?
Yes.
So here's your question. How many quarter-ton pickup trucks, with respect to weight, equates to the same pressure as a single press on the shop floor? So,
oh my gosh, that is detailed.
Right?
Is that the one you got right?
That is the one I got right.
I am impressed. Okay, I have no idea.
You have no idea?
And I feel bad because I was just at Livonia.
It is 261 quarter-ton trucks as the same weight pressure as a single press.
Wow. Well, that's impressive that you got that answer. You must have really been listening.
I was really listening. And, okay, so give me 1 second. Because when I won, or when I answered it correctly, I won something really cool. So give me one second.
Okay.
Because I'm very proud of this.
Oh, I love it. The camera can't see it yet. Oh, maybe they can. I love it.
I got this really
Wow.
cool
I don't
hat.
even know if that's an approved BorgWarner color, but we'll have to put that in the catalog.
Isn't this amazing? I think they originally did it for like breast cancer awareness.
Okay, right.
But I love it. And so I may or may not have picked out my outfit to coordinate with this hat today because I
love the hat.
I love it.
Well, good job. You earned that. That was
Thank you.
not just given to you because you showed up.
No.
You had to get it right.
Absolutely. And so I want to give you a shout out to the Livonia BorgWarner team. Specifically Dean, Pam, Cora. They implemented TeamSense in February of this year. And when you look at Q2 of 2025 and you compare it to Q2 of 2026, with TeamSense, they've been able to reduce unexcused absences by 21%, while tangentially, because of volume and new business, their total hours worked went up 13%.
Wow, fantastic.
It is fantastic. And so I wanted to give that team a shout out because they are focusing on the hourly associate, the people that actually make our parts.
Right.
They're engaging with them in a unique way, starting with the call-off solution. They're improving OEE, and then they're reinvesting in that same hourly associate. And so it's heartwarming because I've worked with lots of manufacturing and operations teams throughout my career, and you don't get many opportunities where you see a team where ops and HR are so aligned on doing the right thing. Put people first, put safety first, and OEE drives itself.
Well, they're a great example. And I was actually just at the Livonia plant a couple of months ago. I hadn't been there in over 10 years. And given my new role, I try to get to all the facilities, especially ones I haven't been to in a little while. And I can tell you they are so engaged.
They are.
And for the audience, they do powdered metal parts, but not just any powdered metal. The powdered metal components are the really important guts of our transfer case systems. And our transfer cases are renowned around the world.
They are.
We're one of the largest transfer case companies in the world, and they go on some of the toughest trucks and SUVs. So I'm extremely proud of our Livonia team. And yes,
too.
it's true, we continue to invest in that facility, especially as you see not only trucks grow, but the reinvestment needed in the U.S.
Right.
to restore some of the manufacturing greatness we had and really make sure that we make really good things for the future. So glad you could visit there. They're a great facility.
Thank you. So let's get into some talk real shift. How do you go from engineer to CEO? Tell me your career path. And as we do that, can you share some real talk real shift questions and examples on your journey to get to CEO?
Sure, I'll do my best. So, first of all, you don't do that overnight. And, probably start in, I'm not going to bore you with all 35 years, but as a young kid, I loved toying with things and tearing down engines, working on go-karts. So for me, it was become an engineer was my goal.
Okay.
When I graduated, and I wanted to work at Ford. Like as a 10-year-old boy, that was my goal. Ask my parents, they'll tell you yes. And I did that. So I graduated from Lawrence Tech in engineering. I worked at Ford for 7 years, so I was in my dream company.
Right.
But of course, your dreams change over time. And
They do.
Ford was very good to me. I still have a lot of friends there. But from there, I realized I wanted to do more than engineering. I left and I went into a sales role at Siemens, a tier one automotive company. And they were focused on growing the electronics business with the North American customers. So I just happened to be at the right place at the right time when electronics was at the early days of really exploding in the car. If you look today at the vehicle, so many ECUs and sensors and electronic components and systems. Back then, we're still on the emerging side of it. So with that growth came a lot of opportunities at Siemens. And I like to say at Siemens is really where I cut my teeth on a lot of different experiences. So that's one, I guess, key point here is, I always tell folks you can do way more than what you're educated for or what you started out in life doing. You define yourself. That's it. Don't let anyone else define you. So it was great. I left engineering. I went into sales for a couple of years, taught me a lot about the business and about, how to work a sale and close a sale and then eventually launch a business. So at Siemens, I moved around over 14 years and 7 different roles, including manufacturing. I'll save that for later. But I really cut my teeth on a lot of different experiences, which helped me get ready for when I came to BorgWarner in 2010. When I joined BorgWarner, obviously a renowned powertrain company,
Right.
One of the greatest powertrain companies in the world. I started in the four-wheel drive business, which is, where Livonia sits. That's why I was familiar with them. But I moved around also in the company. So most of the jobs were global at that point. But I was able to grow in size and revenue and throughout the company with different business units. And I was just fortunate to, again, be in the right place at the right time. I'll sometimes use the word luck is 50% of it. But if you boil down luck, it's always about being ready.
Right.
Be ready for the opportunity when it comes. It's also about taking risk on yourself. It's not easy to leave a company that you've loved and has given you a lot of experiences like Siemens had at that point. But I felt like, hey, my next chapter was somewhere else. BorgWarner created that opportunity. And so I took the jump, and that's where the journey began, at least more assertively toward the role I'm in now. So, but it's been a great journey. I don't regret any of it. It's been a lot of fun. And I have to say, I had a very supportive family throughout the whole time. Sometimes young people, I'll meet with our young folks a lot throughout the world because I love listening to their questions, and I love hearing their advice and thoughts and what do they think about BorgWarner. But I often get asked for career advice, and the first thing I tell them is find the right partner.
It makes all the difference.
It makes all the difference, not only in your personal life and in your own happiness, but in your family and in your professional career. So if you don't have the right partner that supports you throughout, it's very difficult to do this type of work. So that's my first advice to folks. Hey, make sure you find the right partner. Not only is it good for your career, it's the most important decision you're going to make in your entire life. So I think that's something we sometimes forget. It's not just one person doing the work. It's a network of people.
Right.
You get support. I had lots of support from others every step of the way. You don't do things by yourself. And I think that's another thing people need to keep in mind. And that's why it's important we help others, right?
Absolutely.
This word pay it forward, you got to play it out every day because the next generation, they need the same help or more than what we all got.
Right. Absolutely. And I can't agree with that more. I mean, I personally was one of those younger, I'm not young anymore, but a generation where I didn't choose the right partner. And when you are in the manufacturing space, particularly in automotive, it was draining, right? I spend so much of my time and energy at work. And if you can't be supported to do that, then you start showing up not in your best version of yourself, right? And I'm very blessed now, but it is true. Your network, who you bring on your journey with you, isn't just about the people at work. It's the people at home, too.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And I think that's one thing I also learned a couple of my years I spent in manufacturing. It was some of the most insightful and rich experiences I ever had. And part of the reason is the people that are working in manufacturing, they're the real deal. Like they're the majority of the country. They are the people that make things happen every day. So for me, working with teams on the plant floor, and sometimes they bring their, what's happening in their personal life to work.
It's hard not to.
It's hard not to.
Right.
And so you're always working with them on that. Just like anybody, we all have challenges in our personal life, but in the plant, you really see the people and work with the people that move things and that create all the products you and I and many others enjoy in the world. So, I have a deep respect for people in manufacturing, especially the operators and the skilled trades that make it happen every day, regardless of how they feel or what issues they're having on the personal side. They show up. That's right.
They show up and they continue to persevere. And one of the things that I love about manufacturing is and maybe I'm wrong, but I will attest to this. I don't think there's any other industry in the entire world where you can start from the shop floor with no experience and you can work your way through the ranks, whether that's management, whether that's going into a skilled trade and having your employer support you to get the education. You have so many options And it really is the backbone of our country, particularly here in Michigan, right? We are a manufacturing automotive state. And that warms my heart. So
Yeah, well, I know you started also in manufacturing.
I did.
Leading a production line, which is
Yes.
super impressive, not easy to do, especially at one of the car companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you. Sometimes people, they stereotype manufacturing. It's not always most glamorous
It's not.
vocation in the world, especially for people who've never been in a plant. People often think about marketing or engineering or working in an office environment or being a doctor or lawyer, and those are all fantastic vocations.
They are.
But manufacturing, what firsthand, and what I know and see, is you're working in a team environment. The ability to learn every day is
Yes.
incredible. Is incredible. So you think about building skills, how to collaborate with other people, how to solve problems, how difficult it is to manufacture things, to learn the process itself, right? You were
Right.
just in Livonia. I don't know if you knew anything about powdered metal before you got there.
Not until I walked in.
But I bet you learned a whole lot in just a few
Sure did.
hours about what it takes to make a part.
Right.
And so the ability to build your skills quickly and contribute and see every day, do we move the business forward or backwards? It's very rewarding. And I think
It is.
sometimes people who haven't been in a plant, those aren't the things they hear about. They
Right.
hear about the dirty plants of the 70s and 80s.
It's hot.
It's hot. It's
you
not
have to
comfortable.
work. Right.
Yeah, and you do have to work. There's no
Yes.
question. I mean, it's expected. But hey, if you like to work, it's a great environment, and I agree
Yeah.
with you. You can grow with it as fast as you want. And
Yeah. And you get to reinvent yourself, right? I mean, my education is in engineering as well. I have done zero engineering in my career. I started out on the shop floor and then moved from there. You were in engineering and you went into sales.
Right.
I mean, talk about
Right.
taking risk, right? Were you scared making that transition from an engineering mindset where everything is proven out and there's analytics that go behind every single decision that you make, and sales is a lot softer. It's
Right.
much more
Right.
people centric. How did you feel making that transition?
At first when I thought about it, I wasn't quite ready to leave the company, but I was thinking, okay, I want to do something more than engineering. You do ask yourself, can I be successful? Like
Right.
everybody has some level of self-doubt, right? There's always someone chirping in your ear, hey, I can do more, and there's someone else chirping in your ear, oh, what if you fail? What if it doesn't go like you planned?
Yep.
But as I talked to some people who were already in sales, it became more clear that, hey, this is a bet worth taking,
Right.
and it's really a question of believing in yourself, and will you have people around you that you can be successful. And so it did come together. Actually, a person I knew had left the company they were at and joined Siemens, and he's the one that approached me, and I trusted him as well.
Okay.
He wasn't going to let me fail, or at
Right.
least do his best not to let me fail. So, everyone has self-doubt, but at the end, I decided, hey, this is a bet worth taking. And I think that's also what I want to encourage people, bet on yourself. At the end of the day, no one's going to bet more on you than you.
If you're going to roll the dice, roll the
Yeah,
dice on
And
yourself.
you can do way more than we all give ourselves credit for. So that's a little bit what I learned. And we were also fortunate. I joined this great sales team. We won a lot of business. We were recognized inside and outside of the company as a strong sales team that, picked up quite a few contracts. So that built more confidence that,
Right.
wow, okay, teams can do a lot of things. So I was happy to make that transition. But yeah, it wasn't an immediate, I'm just going to jump into sales. It took a little bit of time to deliberate it.
Fair. And then you jumped again. You went into manufacturing.
Right. So that was a little bit different story. When I left sales, I went into more of a global marketing role at Siemens. And then I was given my first profit and loss. We had won all this business, and then I was fortunate to be asked, hey, we want you to run the region,
Okay.
including the plants. And quite honestly, I didn't do a great job. As you mentioned, I came out of engineering, but I hadn't any plant experience at the time. And as you know, the buck stops at the factory.
It sure does.
So, I was giving too much room and leeway to engineering, to freeze drawings. We were missing deadlines. There's always one more thing to do when you're in engineering. We had a few launches, didn't go great. So right then I knew I was missing some experience that I really needed. Unfortunately, I got pulled out of that job. And
no way.
Yes way.
That's
Sometimes
some real
you
shift.
fail.
Sometimes you fail.
So, I recovered from that. Luckily, I had an understanding leader who moved me into a different role. But, I really learned something, that I was missing a key part of experience, and I got to that position too early. So that's the other important point is, I know a lot of folks are looking to grow in their career and maybe even achieve a CEO role. Experience matters. It was a little bit later in my career when I had another P&L role, but I was missing my son's birthday a couple of years in a row. I was on the road a lot, and my kids were young, and it really, really bothered me as a dad. So I went to my boss at the time. I said, hey, I have to get off the road. I can't spend this much time away from my family, my kids. They're young, they're formidable. And so that's when I got the offer to run a manufacturing plant. It was $1 billion unionized manufacturing plant in Huntsville. And my manager said, hey, it's a turnaround. It's going to be tough, but you're the right person for it. You got the right attitude and leadership style. So I want to offer you that. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Not only personally, because I got to spend more time at home.
Right.
In a plant, you're still working a lot, but I wasn't traveling as much.
Right. So you at least get to be home at the end of the day.
Yes.
And you get to be there for the morning or some combination of it. But you have more of a presence.
You do. And so I was more present for my family. And, of course, I didn't miss my son's birthday the next couple of years, which was important.
Yeah.
But that experience also allowed me the opportunity to go to BorgWarner. So at BorgWarner, the most important doors in the company are the shipping doors.
That they are.
Having operational experience is critical if you want to grow in the company. Right. So most of our VPs and general managers and our presidents all have operations experience. That's how we develop our leaders. So had I not had that opportunity to lead a factory for 3 years, I wouldn't have been able to come to BorgWarner and have the career I have now. So it worked out for a number of reasons. Did I know that at the time? No. But
Right.
looking back, I understand that you need that type of experience to really know how things come together, to really know how the company makes money, how we satisfy customers,
right.
how we deliver the top line. Because with no top line, you and I don't have a job.
We sure don't.
So those folks in the plant, they pay for us. They pay for our salary. So, in BorgWarner, it's all about what do we do to support the shipping doors. They're the most important doors in the company. You'll sometimes hear that phrase. And so we give a lot of respect to our 65 plants around the world because they're the mini entrepreneurs. They're the mini CEOs that really make stuff happen with their teams.
I love that. And they're, when you're on the shop floor, it's unbelievable the various amount of lessons that you can learn. And we've talked about it a little bit, but you learn how to lead people, right? I try to tell people young in their career, if you want experience getting to a management role quickly, go learn how to lead hourly.
Right.
Right? I mean, nothing is going to test you more than you have hourly associates that report up to you that, again, they have personal lives, they have things going on. You have productivity numbers and KPIs that you have to hit. You've got quality issues with incoming supply that's constantly causing you to pivot on the shop floor. Nothing, in my opinion, and in my own experience, nothing has taught me more how to manage through adversity and how to lead a team than those years leading a team out on the shop floor. And also nothing was as satisfying, because at the end of the day, I would tell my team, and I said the same thing when we had left Livonia and I was talking with the Team Sense team. And I go, when you are driving down the road and you see a pickup truck and it's this make and it's this model, just think about the fact that somebody on the shop floor that you just visited made that.
Right.
And every day that vehicle drives down the road, they're part of the team that made that happen.
That's right.
I was like, you get to bring people transportation, and that saves lives, right? It's not just the joy of you get to go for a fun ride in a car and have a great time and let your hair blow in the wind. It's getting your kids to school. It's getting a loved one to an appointment. It's getting to your job.
Yeah, it could be all that.
Yes.
It could be all that. And I think that's one thing a lot of our employees and the people that are in the industry, they love. They love the fact that the products we make show up on the roads and in consumers' hands. And
you get to see it every day.
You get to see it. That's so true.
At the end of the day, you get to see what you made.
And back to your point about leading people in a plant, my father taught me something super important that has stuck with me throughout my whole life, and that is no matter where somebody's from or what they do or what color of their skin, you need to respect that person. And it's not more true than when you're in a factory.
Yes.
Every role in that factory is important. And sometimes, in society, especially in the last 30 years, we've had this narrative of, you must go to college. You must get a 4-year degree if you want to be someone and do something big. And what we see now, of course, it's just not true.
No.
We have a shortage. It's a path for some. It was a path for us.
Yes.
But what we see now is how important it is to make things.
Yes.
And how important it is to build systems and to be able to sell those systems. So, when you're in the factory and you're leading a team, those individual operators, they know their role and probably the role of the entire line better than anybody in the
else.
plant.
They know it.
Because they've been there long before you got there or I got there.
Yes.
And that's a respect that people sometimes miss.
Right.
And in listening to them and hearing from them, what are their ideas, what problems do they have, and what would they recommend to solve it, that is the key in any job. But to learn that in a plant first is fantastic. So, a lot of folks, they think a plant is not people oriented or there aren't teams that make things. That's because they've never been to a plant. Right. It's all about teams. It's all about engaging individual people and getting all their ideas and bring them together so that you can deliver on time and with high quality.
Right.
And that's the trick. Yep.
Right. That's unbelievable. I want to share with you, my mother taught me something similar. So my mom, growing up, was a bus driver and transitioned for a school district, transitioned to be a janitor. And when we were growing up, she would always tell us that you need to be nice to everybody because shift happens. And you never know when you're going to be somewhere and you don't have toilet paper. And so if you...
What a great way to bring a point across.
If you poo-pooed on somebody, you're going to be stuck left being poo-pooed on by yourself.
That's right.
And so, similar concept, every person in that plant.
Yeah, no, it's really key. And, if you think about kind of where the country is now, where we have lots of job openings in factories, in data centers, right? With this data center build out, number I read the other day was we have 500,000 open jobs for skilled trades. So, you're talking about plumbers, you're talking about welders, electricians, people working on machines, people that install things, and that number is going to double in the next 5 years. So the work is there, the opportunity is there, which is really exciting because I think there's a certain amount of respect that was missing for the people in manufacturing, the people using their hands to make things. And I feel like we're at a pivot point where that's going to shift back.
Right.
And, people, even the people that help you service your HVAC system at your house, I see my friends, they have a lot more respect for those individuals than they did maybe 10 years ago.
Right.
And I think that's necessary. I think we have to make sure we're telling the right story around these jobs. They're real jobs. They're good paying jobs. There's health care provided.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's why manufacturing is so important.
I love that. I want to go back a little bit more to your story of, let's talk some real shift, how you took your first P&L opportunity and it didn't work out, but you didn't just stop and you didn't give up. Can you kind of talk a little bit more about how you were able to pivot post that and use that to really branch off to continue to grow yourself? Because we can fall, and we fall a lot in manufacturing, but we just get right back up.
Right. Yeah, so, to unpack it a little bit, at first, of course, it didn't feel good, right? This never feels good if you're pulled out of a role. So there's a lot of learning to do. Now, at the moment, you're not thinking about learning. You're thinking about failure. You're thinking about, man, is my career over here? How do people see me? Are they going to give me another opportunity? But I was fortunate. I worked for a couple of leaders who got me quickly oriented toward, hey, life's not over here. It's what you take from it is important. And so, they helped me understand, hey, some of the gaps I had and some things I needed to work on. And I think that was the start of, okay, it's not game over. When you have a failure in life, it's not game over. Right. It's a question of what do you do with it? How do you take from it and apply it on a go-forward basis? So it's when I started, I have this analogy for people sometimes. Your rearview mirror is smaller than your windshield for a reason. You don't want to stare in the rearview mirror
while you're driving.
The future is in front of you. So pay most attention to that. But check in the rearview mirror from time to time because you're going to be able to draw something. You're going to be able to learn something.
Right.
But don't let it drag you down. Don't let the baggage drag you down. And so I was fortunate that I also had a few people around me that believed in that. And it takes a little bit of time to get re-engaged, but you realize, hey, failure is not the end of the world. It's what you do with the failure is super important. It's just like when you're in a launch and a launch goes bad, right? Things escalate, you got a quality issue.
Yep.
And invariably, if you're in manufacturing, you experience this from time to time. It's usually not the issue itself that defines you. It's how your team reacts to the issue.
Sure is.
Especially in a customer's eyes. Customers understand when there's a problem. They deal with them all the time. But what they're looking at is how are you dealing with the problem? Are you bringing the right resources to the problem? Are you bringing the right knowledge and competence? Are you working with a sense of urgency? Are you looking forward to apply, whatever lessons you have? So I think that's so true also in your personal life and in your professional life. We're going to fail from time to time. You can't avoid it. You can't be afraid of it. But how do you handle it and how do you, play it forward so you can learn something?
Absolutely. And, the other thing that you mentioned, which I think as leaders, we should be challenging ourselves to do more of, is you can recognize somebody as being phenomenal when we think about like the 9 box, right? They can have all the will, the drive, all of the right behaviors, but in a particular role, they may not be strong on the competency scale.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that you just call it quits on that person. It means that that role just might not be the right role that allows them to thrive. And so as leaders, we have to challenge ourselves and say, it's not just, is this the right person for this role? Is this the right role for this person, right? Do I need to transition them to a different department where they have greater strengths and they can thrive and they can learn a little bit more to be able to come back and excel? Because I've had to do that in my career where I've hired somebody and I'm like, great behavior, young
Yeah.
talent. It's always about more the behavior traits, right? And I can teach you competencies. I can't teach you culture. And they get in role, and I'm just like, man, like you're not hitting the mark. But then you see that spark in another department, and I'm like, yep, this is what I need to do. Like, it's
Right.
just not the right role. How do you kind of deal with those challenges? Have you paid that same respect forward in your career to somebody else?
Yeah, so that's such a great point. I think we sometimes use this phrase of, hey, sometimes you got a round peg in a square hole, or vice versa.
Yes.
So anyone new to a job, especially if they've stepped out of function, you're usually making a bet on them for other reasons.
Right.
It's not their competence in the function. It's their attitude, their
Yep.
mindset, their ability to solve problems, their ability
tenacity.
to work with others, right, their energy level.
Right.
So, you need to expect a certain amount of time before they can build their competence. And you try to surround them with people
That can support that.
that can help them, right? And cover some of the blind spots they might have or gaps
Right.
until they can grow into the role. But sometimes you also get it wrong, where you missed something, or they weren't able to adapt like you expected, or there was something in the job that we really didn't understand that this person now had to face unexpectedly. So I like to say we're never as good as our successes because we have tailwind,
Right.
that we often don't give credit to. And we're never as bad as our failures because we probably had some headwinds
Yep.
that any good person may have failed in that role. So, once you keep that in mind, there may be some headwinds on somebody that the last person didn't have that you need to take into account. So
Right.
you do have to have some patience and understanding. The last thing you do is fire somebody.
Right.
That's only after things just haven't worked out, and it's usually due to not competence. It's due to
Culture.
mindset and
Yeah.
attitude and work ethic, and whether somebody really wants to be there
Right.
doing the role. So yeah, it's important to kind of anticipate those challenges they're going to have, surround them with people that do have the competence until they can grow it. But sometimes you do get it wrong, and you have to be prepared to find another role if that's the case.
Right. Has there been another time in your career where we talk some real shift where you got it wrong and had to pivot?
In terms of a business decision or?
Dealer's choice. We're going to roll the dice. We're betting on
Oh, boy.
ourselves.
Okay, this is exciting. So first of all, certainly, especially as you grow in your career and responsibility, decision making becomes a bigger part of your job.
Yes.
Obviously, a very big part of my job. You want to get many more of them right than wrong. I would first start by saying, on decisions, what I've found is helpful, and I've gotten a lot of coaching over time. First, determine, when does this decision have to be made? When I was younger, some of the managers I worked for, they encourage quick decision making. You want to be decisive. You want to be seen as somebody who doesn't get bogged down and doesn't delay decisions. You want to be decisive. In reality, that's not true. You want to be decisive on decisions that need to be made now. But not every decision needs to be made now. Let's say someone brought you a problem and said, hey, we got to take a decision on this today. Your first question is, okay, why do we have to take that
why
decision
today?
today? Your second question is, whose decision is this? Is it your decision, or is it someone else in the organization? The reason you ask, when does this decision have to be made, is because when you make decisions too early and there's too many unknowns, the chance of you getting it wrong are high.
Right. It's 50-50.
Yeah,
Right.
at best.
Yeah,
At
fair.
best, because you might have poor assumptions you're running on. You don't have
Right.
the right data set. So if a decision really does have to be made now, then it's on you as a leader to bring all the resources to bear
Right.
to make the best decision you can. So you can't just status quo it. You need to realize, okay, I got 24 hours to make this. Let's pull in these people,
Everybody you can.
get their ideas, get their thoughts, so we can make the best decision we can. Now, if you have time to take the decision, you have a week or 2 weeks or 4 weeks, then it's a question of setting up the solving of the problem with the right people and, make sure the problem is defined well, involve those as needed. And then you might get to that point and realize, I don't need to take the full decision now. I just need to take this part of the decision. And then we're going to create options for the rest of the decision. So I'm just giving you a little bit of insight into kind of how my thinking has changed over time, because I have gotten decisions wrong. That first you got to decide, when is this decision required? Because that's going to give you the best possibility of making the right decision at the end. So, when it comes to, okay, where have I failed on decision making? So I remember back when I was a sales leader and we were trying to win a part of the business.
Okay.
We ended up making some poor assumptions on the cost structure to win the business, right? So every business, at least in our side, you're in TeamSense, so it's more of a service and a software product. Much of our products are hardware based. So the design and the bill of material is the most important part. And then you've got the, labor to put it together and the overhead associated with it and investment. So we got real aggressive on some of the engineering assumptions. We didn't have the right engineering teams involved, is what it came down to. So we made bad assumptions. And we were so focused on winning the business that we missed one of the most important steps, is having someone of, experience looking over the design and the bill of materials. So, and once you win a piece of business in automotive, it's really hard to unwind.
You win it, it's yours, right?
Yeah,
so if you're not cost plus, guess what you're doing?
Right, it's very hard to give back a piece of business. So, you learn that the hard way, and then of course you have to address some of the issues that led up to that. But, the one other thing that I've learned over time is you got to decide, there's a difference between one-way and two-way decisions. And let me explain that. So think about a swinging door at a restaurant for the kitchen, right? It needs to move both ways because you got people coming in and out of that kitchen door all the time, servers. And so that's a two-way door. Okay, you could step through the door and realize, we made a mistake. Let's go back through.
Right.
Those are two-way decisions. Okay. Those you don't want to spend too much time or too many resources on, especially if it's not a big decision, because you can always go back. Okay. One-way decisions, like, hey, we're going to buy a company. That's a one-way decision.
Right.
Right. Or we're going to close a factory. That's a one-way decision.
Those are very big decisions.
Right. So the bigger decisions that you can't reverse, you have to be much more thoughtful about, and you have to, involve more people and have more data at your hands to increase the chance you're going to get it right. There's too many people depending on you to make the wrong decision. So, it's also helpful to categorize decisions as two-way doors or one-way doors. It helps you, bring the right folks to the table.
That's phenomenal. And it gives you perspective. It gives me perspective as I think back to my days on the shop floor. How many decisions did I overanalyze when the reality was, early on in my career, I could just move forward? And now, as I got older and I was on the shop floor, I would tell my team, when I had managers reporting to me, I'd be like, guys, I don't care. Go mess some stuff up, right? I'd be like, 1, 2, 3, let's go mess some shift up on the floor and have fun, because anything you do, I can find a way to reverse it.
Right.
But if you just maintain status quo, we're going to get the same thing. And although it's complex, stuff comes in one door, we work some magic, and it's going to go out the other door.
Right.
A lot of those are two-way decisions that if I just would have been more confident in the ability of how to reverse it, we could have just moved forward faster.
Right, and probably the thing you were thinking about, which most people do, including me, am I going to get it wrong?
Yeah, yes, because
that's
it
what's
weighs
going
on
through
you.
your head, as opposed to what could go well, and we can maneuver around it if it doesn't go well.
Right.
We can adjust.
Right.
That's not what's going through most people's heads.
No.
So we have to get out of our head of, am I going to get it wrong? and this whole idea of perfectionism,
Right.
and just embrace, hey, I'm going to get some things wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Once you do that, you realize, okay, we're going to take more risk,
Right.
especially on two-way doors, or especially,
When you've
where
got a longer
quality is
decision
not
time.
at risk, or you got a
Right.
longer decision time. And I think that's helpful for people's mindset so that they can move forward and they can
Right.
do more things than getting caught up in, oh, am I going to do the wrong thing here?
Right. Because there were times where I was like, we have a big buffer built, and I want to try this really creative idea, because if I can get more lifetime on this cutting head, right, the cost save could be phenomenal.
Right.
The risk is I burn through some material. But I'm like, I've got buffer. Like, let's run it, right? Let's run an
Let's try
experiment.
it.
Yeah.
Let's try it.
Like, beg for forgiveness later. What's the cost? If it works, the upside is huge. If it doesn't work, we don't have to run overtime. I'll eat the cost. I'll find another idea to do cost save to upset the
Right.
material costs
Right.
that I ate. Like, no big deal. Big deal. But it's also, it's a two-way door, right? Like, you can work your way back from that. And so,
I love what you just said. Or I'll have the confidence that I'll find another idea.
yeah, I'll offset
I
it.
think that's also so important, is that, this whole idea of staying creative and staying positive and coming up with new ideas every day.
Right.
That is what is going to be the future of manufacturing. Status quo doesn't work anymore.
No.
Speed is important. New ideas, better productivity, improved quality. You can't just live with the status quo for
Right.
even a day today.
No.
You need to be improving every day. So I love that point you made. Hey, if I don't get it right,
I'm
we'll
gonna
come up
find
with
something.
another
Yeah,
idea. So
I'm gonna get another
so
one, right?
important.
Like, and they don't always have to be massive ideas, right? I could move this workstation, or I can move this rack 5 feet this way, and 5 feet is X number of seconds, and these people are walking this, and that equates to how many pieces, and how many more units can I get out the door if I just cut off
Right.
5 feet of walking distance. And that's, again, like, those aren't huge changes. I'm not a brilliant mastermind, but those are things that when you ask, to your point earlier, when you ask the associates out on the floor, because they know the machines inside and out, they can hear when it's not right. They can hear the quality issue before it even happens.
Right.
Like, what would you do differently? And that was what somebody said. They were like, Devin, like, can we move this bin like 5 feet? Like, the amount of time that this would say, cool, let's just do it like that. And I'm like, yeah, just do it. Just move it.
Right.
They're like, well, what if? I'm like, who cares? We'll put some 5S tape here. I'll slap a label. Like, I didn't even print out a label, right? I put some tape down and I hand wrote a label. I was like, it's 5S. It's official now. And they were like, just like that. And I was like, sure, if it doesn't work, I rip up the tape and we move it back.
Yeah, and that's so inspiring for team members to see, right? When there's action, when they see their idea in action immediately, they're like, wow, I have authority. I have influence. I can make stuff happen. Which is also important as a team leader in a factory, right? That you're listening to people and you're actioning the good ideas as quickly as possible. Because that's what gets people fired up. People at all levels and in all places of work, they want some influence at the end of the day. They want some control. They want some environment where they can see their ideas play out. And that's what you're providing for those folks.
We want to feel like we're valued, right?
Right.
At the end of the day, we just want to feel like we're valued,
Respected,
that we're important. And when we give people that, even if you just give one person that, and I try to tell people early on in their career, look for a piece of low-hanging fruit and win over one person on your team. Just one person.
That's great advice.
And then as soon as you win over one, they will be the change agent that drives everybody else along with you. Because your team is typically, you've got your high performers, right, that are just they're your workhorses. You can count on them no matter what. You're gonna have your fence sitters that are gonna be highly influenced. And you might have a few that need a little bit extra attention and focus. But those fence sitters, those are the ones that make or break your productivity. They're the reasons why you're going to hit your KPIs or you're not. So if you can win somebody over to swing them onto the side of like, yep, the majority of my team believes in me, they believe in what we're doing, and they know I have their back, it allows you to focus on the other opportunities in front of you.
Right. No, that's so true. That's so true. I can't get that pink hat out of my head right now.
Love it. I love
I'm sitting here thinking, God, you must be getting warm with that pink hat on.
It's actually not too bad, but it's such a beautiful color, and I love that it's branded. And I'm like, is it centered? I'm like, is it centered over there? And
That's perfect.
I was so excited. Like, I'm not joking. On the drive over, I'm talking to my mom, and I'm like, you're not going to believe this. Today's finally the day. I get to talk with Joe. I get to put on this amazing hat. I get to shout out to a phenomenal team that is just killing it in production. And I was like, these are the days that you live for, right? Where you get to recognize other people. You get to hear other people's stories. I was like, this is what motivates me. It's why I continue to stay with Team Sense. But yeah, I was so excited for today and to wear this hat. And I'm not too hot, even though we've got a lot of bright lights in here.
I love it. You wear it better than I do. I wear a lot of hats, obviously, because I got to protect my head. But I don't have one that color, so Michelle, we're gonna have to work on that.
I'll have to bring one. I can bring one to you. I love going to see the Livonia team because they're good people.
They are.
They're just great people.
Great team.
But Joe, we're at about 10 minutes, and so I want to ask you, what advice would you give yourself if you could go back in time and talk to 20, 25-year-old you? What do you tell you?
It's probably something along the lines of believe in yourself. Believe you can do whatever you put your mind to. Building skills is super important. Getting experiences is super important. But also stay yourself. Stay authentic. Be humble. And that's something my parents taught me. It's important, no matter what you do in life, stay humble. I love your advice from your mom. Be kind.
Just be kind.
It's so important because not only is it the right thing to do, it all comes around again.
It does.
But yeah, believe in yourself. Take risk. No one's going to believe in you more than you. Take risk on yourself. It's worth doing. You can do so much more than what you give yourself credit for, because we often like to define ourselves, or society will define ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's important not to get boxed in. Humans can reinvent themselves all the time through meeting new people, exposing themselves to new work. Having kids is a great way to reinvent yourself. Oh my gosh,
sure is.
Teach you more than you ever anticipate.
Yes.
So, I think those are the important things. I often think now, I just turned 60. I just had my 60th birthday.
Oh, well, happy belated birthday.
Well, thank you. I didn't mention it to get a happy birthday, but thank you.
Yeah.
But what I would also tell myself is, hey, this thing is a marathon. You're not always immortal. When you're in your 20s, you think you're immortal and you can do anything to your body and your mind. And but it matters that you stay fit. It matters that you stay healthy to the best of your ability. Control the things that you can control. There's a lot of stuff we can't control, but
absolutely
control the things you can, and make sure it's a marathon. And with today's medicine, there's no reason why people can't live to be 100 and still be in great shape.
Right.
With all the advances in the medical side. So yeah, those are just a few things, but I feel real fortunate to have had the family I do. I've got 3 kids that are, really my wife and my greatest achievement, and I'm so proud of them. But yeah, bet on yourself. You can do so much more than we each give ourselves credit for.
Yeah. Our futures are what we want it to be. We can will a lot if we just decide this is what I'm going to do.
I agree. It's a lot about mindset and attitude, and those are sometimes big words to people, but
and they're fluff words sometimes.
Sometimes,
right.
It really comes down to, how do you deal with the cards you're dealt? And if you're given a lot in life, if your starting point is a lot farther ahead than someone else, then you you have bigger responsibilities
Yeah.
than other people. You know,
Right.
you have a big responsibility to help others more than anyone else, to pay things forward, and help those that, you know, started at a different starting line. So, you know, I think it's also important to get that context. You don't often have it when you're young, because you just know kind of your immediate surroundings. But, you know, as you grow, how do you bring people with you? You know,
Right.
because it takes a team, and nobody gets there on their own, gets there wherever they're headed on their own.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those are some things you wish you knew sooner in life. But, hey, you know, that's why you want to get as many experiences as you can.
Absolutely. And, you know, to your point, we all don't start off on the same starting line. And I was very early in my career a little disgruntled sometimes because I had faced a lot of adversity in life and a lot of challenges, particularly in my younger years. And I used to be like, I don't want to hear excuses. Like, we all have trials and tribulations,
Right.
and we all have things going on. Like, and in my mind, I'd be like, I rose above it, so can you. So just deal with it, right? But that was absolutely the wrong mindset, right? The reality is that we do all have trials and tribulations. So how are we paying it forward? How am I helping the next person so that if they're facing similar adversities, that they don't have to work so hard to get to the next step?
Right. Yeah, and just know that everyone has a different set of challenges they're working through.
Yes.
And to understand that, and then to lend a helping hand, to level out the field somewhat. You know, I
Right.
think, and that's where we were talking about at AWA, this whole idea of generative AI.
Yes, this
right?
is
We
one of my
haven't
favorite
touched on that
things.
yet. But generative AI, you know, there's so many opportunities with it, but there's a lot of risk to it. You know, you hear both sides of it today, and I understand, especially from our team members, that, hey, you know, this can put me out of a job, or this is going to change how I work. And some of that's true. You know, we shouldn't ignore that. The one thing, though, about generative AI, it's so new
Right.
that it's going to level the playing field.
Yes.
You know, it's going to reduce the number of experts, 30-year experts in the company, because it's democratizing knowledge. It's giving tools to people who may not have the depth of competence, but they
Right.
can access that.
Yes.
And so it's a lot about how do you use these tools? How do you become more personally productive? And how do you help your enterprise apply Gen AI across factories and back offices? Those are the folks of the future. The people that learn the power of those tools and how to use them personally, they're going to have an advantage. And it's important that people hear that message, because everyone can embrace them. Everyone can use them. Everyone's got an iPhone or a Google phone where you can access these apps. So that's the other thing I just encourage folks. Hey, become savvy in that. You'd be surprised how many more opportunities you're going to gain for yourself and your team by becoming very knowledgeable about the power of Gen AI and how to use it.
Right. And you made this comment at the gala, and it stuck with me because it's the first time I've ever heard that perspective. It doesn't care about your race, your gender, your ethnicity, your age, nothing.
Right.
It truly, for the first time, likely since the Industrial Revolution, has created a level playing field for everybody. It's who's going to embrace it that will take the next step forward. It doesn't care, to your point, that you have generational experience or knowledge or any of these things. Like, we are all on equal playing fields, right? My bonus kids at 15, 17 have an equal opportunity right now as I do, as there are other people in the workforce, all the other generations, because we're a 3-generation workforce right now, almost going to be a 4, and none of that matters, right? It's who's going to embrace it and who's willing to learn it.
Right.
And I
right.
love that.
And it's back to that competence piece that we were talking about. Sometimes you get put into a job where you're lacking competence.
Right.
But it can really accelerate, your ability to learn how to problem solve and do higher level work because you have Gen AI as a tool to help do some of the grunt work.
Yep.
So I agree with you. I think we're in the very early innings of this thing. I think it's upon each person to really embrace the tools. I know there's some fear, and I understand it. There will be some jobs that go away due to Gen AI. There's no question.
But others are going to be created.
Others will be created, and I liken it to the transition to automation 30 or 40 years ago. It was a big topic in manufacturing. Hey, automation is going to replace workers, and it did. But what it also did is it made quality more achievable, high quality of products because of the automation. And it also allowed much more manufacturing because when you have automation, you can be more affordable or competitive.
Right.
And so, for a country like the U.S., where it's expensive to produce, automation, generative AI, these are great tools to help us not only keep jobs in this country, but to build more jobs because we know how to use those tools to make a high-quality competitive product. So,
before we close out, is there anything that you want to promote, BorgWarner or otherwise?
Well, I would just say, first of all, I love BorgWarner. We're the leading propulsion company in the world. We're making a massive transition not only to electrification and the mobility space, but we've started to make some inroads on the industrial side with data centers. I couldn't be more excited for our team. Our team of engineers and salespeople and finance, and more importantly, the operators that build our products. I think we're at a really great pivot point in the company's history, and I'm excited about what's next. What's next in mobility, which is really our core and what we do every day, and what's next in some of these other areas like industrial.
Yeah, as you diversify.
As we diversify and find new opportunities for growth and challenges for our employees. So I'm super excited about it, and I just want to thank you for inviting me on the show.
Well, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. This has been a phenomenal episode, and it truly means the world to me.
Great. Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you. And until next time, see you on the floor.